Okay, so I get asked this question a lot. If you have an old pad like this one here, it's an old style pump it up pad with these dome screws. Similarly, if you have an old style DDR pad like this one here, you may be struggling removing these dome screws right here. And maybe you want to do that because you want to modify the sensors in some way, or modify your pads to get a nice flush design like this one here. If you want to do this, I'll link a video in the description below. You can check that out. But I want to share some tips with removing some of these screws right here. These are machine screws. And what happens is people have been playing on these for probably over 20 years or something like that. They're going to have a lot of dirt in here. Look at this one here. So the very first thing you want to do is remove all the dirt and debris with a small screwdriver out of the socket right here. It's the very first thing you want to do. There's no sense in putting a Phillips head in here when it's full of dirt. You're not going to get a secure fit, and then you're going to start stripping your screws. They're going to be absolutely useless. Not only that, you're going to probably have to drill them out or get a special tool in order to remove them. So the first thing you should do is get all the dirt and debris out of every single Phillips head on this pad. Once you've done that, they're going to look something like that. We're going to get a nice snug fit for our Phillips head, and then we're going to undo these with very little problems and very little worry about stripping the screw itself. The next thing you need is patience. Most dance gamers do not have patience, believe me. They'll get a pad, they want to instantly play on it and test it. They'll do anything to get it working. Maybe if one of the arrows isn't working, they've stripped all the screws. Then they're online whining for help on how to fix the problem they have. Give yourself 24 hours, give yourself 10 hours. Spray every single screw with penetrating lube. WD-40 is not penetrating lube. A proper penetrating lube is something like PB Blaster or something like that. I've linked some products in the description below. That is penetrating grease. Spray everyone with penetrating grease because the idea is the grease gets between the threads and the socket of the threads and gives that time to work. Sometimes it needs an hour, sometimes 2 hours. What I do, I spray every single one. I go to bed at night, I wake up in the morning, they're all ready to go. Give yourself the best chance of getting these undone. Then you can sell them, you can reuse them. They have lots more purposes than stripping the heads of the screws. Next, use a Phillips head that actually makes sense. There's no way we're going to use this thin head right here to undo a screw that has a huge hole in the top. It just doesn't logically make sense, but you know, that seems to skip a few people. Pick a head like this. It has a nice solid fit. It's nice and wide. If you have a multi-tool like this one, you'll have a few to select from. Just double check the fit before doing anything. That seems to have a nice solid fit in there. There's going to be no gaps or anything. So that seems to be the one we're going to work with here. If you only have a screwdriver like this one and you've put your penetrating grease on there, you've cleaned the heads out, you're going to have no problem pretty much getting every single screw out of here. So we can just come in here. Use gravity for your advantage. It's a lot better if the pad is on the floor like this. Put all your body weight down in this momentum and just give it a turn. That's all you're going to need to do in 99% of cases. If that doesn't work, let me show you the pièce de la résistance. This is called an impact screwdriver. The idea is you hit the top of this with a hammer and it converts that into rotational torque. So what we're going to do, we're going to position this into the screw hole like that. We're going to hit the head, and that's going to translate that into rotational pressure. It works with undoing screws in the left motion and also tightening them in the right motion right here. Let me show you how this works. It's a very good tool and it's a very easy tool to use. Again, I'll link that in the description below. You can check it out. So you see how easy that was? It was just one hit of the hammer and it comes right out. No problem, no fuss. Very easy, right? So with everything I told you in the video that will help you remove even the most stubborn screws in these pads, it's all about the preparation. It's not about the tools. That being said, you can't control who had this pad before you. Maybe someone went rogue on here, they've cannibalized a lot of the screws. You know, in situations like that, the easiest thing is to just drill them out. You can try one thing called some vamp pliers, which a lot of people have had luck with. I'll link those in the description below as well. They can remove some of these bolts. But if you have rain over a pad like this where no one's tried to ruin it or anything, Follow the tips, you'll get these screws out no problem. Get them replaced with a system like this. Again, linked in the video description. You'll have a nice flush plate area. You're going to have no problems with dome screws or anything like that. I hope the video, you found it useful and helpful, and stay tuned. Subscribe to the channel because we have a lot more information like this on the channel and coming soon. Take care guys, and happy pump it up or DDO.